Manchester United are closing in on a loan-to-buy deal with PSG for Manuel Ugarte. Scott McTominay rejects a move to Fulham, seeking a bigger European club like Napoli. And Jadon Sancho could be on the move in the final week of the window, with Juventus and Chelsea apparently circling for his signature. These are some of the stories we will be discussing on this morning show even. But before we get into that, please do me one small favour. Smash a like on today's video. Let's try and see 1,000 likes on this episode. And if this is your first time watching, please do subscribe to the channel. I'm live every single day at 8:30, 1:30 and 6. Currently, only 50% of people who watch our videos are subscribed. So if you're one of those who isn't subscribed, make sure you get involved. It's completely free content and everyone is welcome. Right. I want to start the show off by talking a bit about Pellistri, because I think I'm going to say it now, right? I think this is Ineos's first L of the summer transfer window. So this is coming out from multiple different people in the last couple of minutes, that apparently Manchester United have now agreed a deal for Facundo Pellistri to move to Panathinaikos for €6 million. €6 million. I mean, what's that in pounds? It's like £5 million, is it? Yeah, it's literally £5 million. I don't understand how we've managed to negotiate such a bad deal for this, to be honest. Let's try and break it down. Let's try and look at it in a balanced way. There must not be that much interest in Pellistri. It's as simple as that, because if there was someone willing to offer more than €6 million, obviously we would sell him. The fact that he's having to move to the Greek league kind of shows what other European clubs think of Pellistri. You know, and people will say, oh, he's in the Uruguayan national team. We did this comparison the other day. Uruguay probably have about 8 or 9 players who are, play in the top leagues. The rest of them are, low-level players. So just because Pellistri plays for Uruguay doesn't mean that he's, world class. It's not like England, where England's reserve team would probably beat most of the teams in the Euros. So I don't know. Obviously, when I saw this story break, it literally broke half an hour ago, that Manchester United have agreed a deal for only €6 million. Like, my first reaction was, what the hell? What are they doing? Why have they agreed such a bad deal? All the rest of it. But if you look at it on the flip side, he's got 1 year left on his contract. He wants to leave the club. He doesn't want to sign a new contract. Manchester United don't want to keep him. And the only club who seems to want to buy him is Panathinaikos from Greece. So, I don't know. Obviously, I'm not particularly happy about it. But at the same time, I kind of understand the situation. And I kind of understand that you can only sell when there's a club willing to buy. And the club that are willing to buy are only willing to pay €6 million. And the alternative is that we don't sell him and that he leaves for free in 12 months. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm a little bit disappointed, to be honest, but there's not really much that I can say that's going to make it any better. Other than the fact that, obviously, as I said, he's got 1 year left on his contract. €6 million is better than nothing. And yeah, so it looks like he's going to leave the club. It looks like he's going to move to Greece. Obviously, I wish him all the best. I've got no hard feelings towards Facundo Pellistri. It's a shame that it didn't work out for him at Manchester United. I wish that he'd got more opportunities last season. I wish that, he'd have got some game time over Anthony, but he's clearly not going to play over, Ahmad or Rashford or Garnacho or even Anthony. So I think it's the best for everybody. I would have hoped that we could have made a little bit of money versus what we bought for him. We bought him, I think, 4 seasons ago for €8 million. So we're actually making a loss here. But again, if that's the only offer that's on the table, if that's all we can do, then I don't really know what else to say, to be honest. But yeah, it's a little bit disappointing. And when I saw it this morning, I did think it was the first kind of bad sale or signing of the summer transfer window. But yeah. Okay, let's move on from that, though. Let's move on over to the left-back situation. So this is coming out from Laurie Whitwell from The Athletic, who is a very reliable journalist, I think. And he is reporting this morning that Manchester United have decided not to sign a left-back this summer. How does everyone feel about that? I'm going to be honest. I don't actually think we really need a left-back that much, because at the moment, I see Mazraoui as the starting right-back and Diogo Dalot as the starting left-back. Obviously, Martinez can play at left-back, although I don't think he's that good at left-back, to be fair. Obviously, we've got Harry Amas as well, who can play at left-back. So we have got quite a few options in that position. And then obviously Malacia and Luke Shaw will be back, I think, in about a month's time. So those two will come back in a month's time, which will then mean that you have at left-back Harry Amas, Luke Shaw, Malacia, Dalot, and Martinez can play there. So you'll have 5 players who can play at left back, and obviously Mazraoui can play there as well. So 6. So at the moment, do we need a left back right now? Yes, we do, right at this very moment. But in a month's time, you'll have Luke Shaw and Malacia available as well. And I think when that comes around, you know, if we had another left back in the squad now, like a Ferdi Kadioglu or someone of that quality, what does that mean for Luke Shaw? What does that mean for Mazraoui? What does that mean for Harry Amas? I think it would just cause complications. So, in short, do we need a left back now? Yes. But I think in 4 weeks' time after the first international break, I think we'll actually be all right. And for me personally, I think the priority really needs to be 2 more midfielders. Obviously, we've missed out on Sander Berg. We'll talk about that in a minute. But 2 more midfielders. I still think we need another attacking player. It looks like Jadon Sancho might leave. We'll talk about that as well. But yeah, so this is coming out from The Athletic. Laurie Whitwell, Manchester United have said to have decided not to purchase a left-back this summer. So yeah, that's effectively it. It says, the story goes on to say that Mazraoui and Dalot offer options in that position. And Erik ten Hag said Luke Shaw's injury would not keep him out for too long. So that's positive. That's positive that Luke Shaw will be back soon. We can't rely on him, that's for sure. But get the pun there. We can't rely on Shaw, that's for sure. But I think next summer, the left back will be the kind of priority position. You know, next summer, I mean, no one's going to buy Luke Shaw, are they? That's clear. I think he's got, 3 years left on his current contract, maybe even longer. We gave Luke Shaw a new contract last summer. That was one of the most stupidest things Manchester United have done in recent history, in my opinion. Yeah, so he got a new contract in April last year, and his contract now runs until 2027. So we've got 3 more years of Luke Shaw, and he's 29 at the moment. We gave an injury-prone player at the age of 28 a 4-year contract. I mean, what was the logic behind that? Absolutely crazy. But yeah, these are the kind of things that I'm not expecting Ineos to do going forward. I'm expecting them to be a lot more shrewd in their contracts. And that's a prime example of what is just didn't want to spend money or wanted to retain the value in Luke Shaw, so they gave him a new deal. But yeah, let me know what you think about that. Like, how does everybody feel about the left-back situation? I personally think that next summer we will go all out for Jared Branthwaite, and obviously Branthwaite can play at left-back as well. Yeah, so in short, no new left-back. Doesn't look like that will be happening now. Derek says, do you think we could loan a left-back? Maybe. I mean, anything's possible. Anything's possible. Because all Laurie Whitwell is saying is that we're not going to sign a new left back. So that might, you know, he might mean like buy a new left back. He might not be responding to like the loan market. So yeah, that's a fair point. I hadn't really thought about that, but I don't really know who they'd be available to loan. I mean, the players that we've been linked to are like Sergio Reguilon, Marcus Alonso. You know, we're not going to get this like world-class left back that everyone's kind of dreaming of. I just don't think that's going to happen in this window, because Manchester United still want to obviously sign a couple of midfielders. Maybe they want another attacking player. Like, there are so many priorities ahead of a left back at this point. But let's move on to some more outgoings. Let's jump on over to Christian Eriksen. So this is coming out again from Laurie Whitwell this morning. He is reporting that apparently Manchester United have offered Eriksen to Ajax. Christian Eriksen, that is. And apparently Manchester United are asking for £5 million for Christian Eriksen. I would take that in a heartbeat, 100%. Christian Eriksen is, 32 now? I think his legs are a little bit gone for the Premier League. He can do it on the international stage. I'm sure he could do it in the Eredivisie. He'd probably be a really good signing for Ajax, because they're obviously really struggling, aren't they? They lost their opening game of the season. They had a terrible year last year. I think Eriksen to Ajax would make a lot of sense. Obviously, he's played for Ajax before. He was at Ajax when, after he had that horrific health problem and he needed to rehabilitate, he was at Ajax then. So yeah, I would love for Ajax to come in for Christian Eriksen. Obviously, he's on pretty big wages. He's on about 150k a week. So, you know, if we could remove that from the wage bill, 150k a week saved, plus sell him for £5 million, that would be good business for me. Because the thing with Eriksen is, we didn't pay a transfer fee for him. He was a free agent signing from Brentford 2 seasons ago. So if we got £5 million, I know it's not a very big amount of money, but that would be straight profit. So yeah, for me personally, if we could do that deal, I would definitely do it. Let me just have a sip of my tea. I always forget my tea. We've got over 1,100 people watching the video live now. We've only got 180 likes though. If everyone who's watching could do me a small favour and smash a like, that'd be really, really appreciated. And if this is your first time watching, please do subscribe. We're literally just about to hit 38,400. So if you haven't subscribed, please go and subscribe. Let's make sure we hit that by the end of today's video. So yeah, Christian Eriksen, for me, definitely needs to go. Same with Lindelof, same with McTominay, same with Hannibal, same with Pellistri. Like, all of these people need to be moved on this summer, for me personally, and that will take our window from maybe a 6 or 7 out of 10. It could easily go up to like an 8 or a 9 out of 10 this window. If in the next week Pellistri goes 10 for 6 million, Hannibal, I don't know how much we'll get for Hannibal, Eriksen, McTominay, and you get rid of Sancho as well. Like, we could easily have a 10 out of 10 window here, genuinely, if we manage to trim our squad down. Because even if you just looked at Sancho and Eriksen, right? Eriksen's on 150k a week. Sancho's on 250k a week. That's nearly £500,000 per week in wages. You get rid of those two players, you're immediately saving about 20 million a season in wages. And that doesn't obviously include Pellistri or Hannibal or McTominay. If you got rid of all 5 of those players, you'd probably be saving somewhere around 600 to 700 grand per week in wages, which is absolutely mad money. Crazy, crazy money. And when you think of those 5 players, Pellistri doesn't get game time, Hannibal doesn't get game time, Christian Eriksen barely gets game time, especially now that Mason Mount's fit and available. I'm expecting Mount to play a large part in the season this year. Whether that's right or wrong, I don't know, but I'm expecting Mount to really get some game time this year. Jadon Sancho, I think even if Sancho stays, he's not going to get game time because Ahmad's ahead of him, Anthony's ahead of him, Garnacho's ahead of him, and Rashford's ahead of him. He's got 4 people ahead of him, right? So he's not going to play either. So I honestly don't think that any of those players that I've just mentioned, the only maybe question mark is McTominay, because McTominay off the bench, I'll accept, I think is actually world class coming off the bench to score a goal in the last few minutes. I think he's one of the best. He's probably the best impact player, or at least he was last season. McTominay was probably the had the biggest impact off the bench out of any of the players in our team, didn't he? He'd come on in the last couple of minutes and get a goal, but anything else from McTominay, I just think he's a liability personally. I think, if you're trying to get a goal in the final minutes of the game, slap McTominay up front and you never know. Whereas if you bring McTominay on when you're trying to hold out a lead, he'll probably give away a free kick, he'll give away a penalty. Like, he's done it many, many times before. And I think as soon as McTominay comes on, you lose that stability. It goes chaotic, everything goes a bit mad, which is great when you're trying to score a goal and you're desperate to get the winning goal, or you're trying to get back to draw or whatever. But when you're in a position of safety, trying to, see out a match, McTominay is a liability, I think. And from the beginning of the game, I think McTominay is a bit of a liability as well. So, we'll wait and see what happens with that one. So, in short, I think Sancho, Eriksen, Hannibal, Pellistri, those 4 should be all moved on 100%. I would personally sell McTominay 100%, but if he stays, then I wouldn't be... I would be a little bit disappointed, but I don't think it's the end of the world, purely just because I understand that McTominay is a good impact player. He's an impact sub. Right, let's move on to Jadon Sancho, though. Laurie Whitwell has been very busy this morning. He's putting out lots and lots of stories. So Laurie Whitwell this morning is reporting that people at Manchester United believe that Chelsea may make an approach for Jadon Sancho. He says it is an open situation. And he also says that PSG have been constantly linked with Sancho, but he is not currently part of their plans for this summer. And then he also goes on to say that apparently Manchester United are willing to listen to offers for around £40 million for Jadon Sancho. Jadon Sancho for £40 million. Would I do that deal? I think it's low, to be honest, especially when you see Chelsea blowing crazy, crazy amounts of money in this window. Like, Chelsea just signed Joao Felix for, I think, 45 million. Joao Felix has been around for years, and I don't think he's ever really lived up to his hype. 40 million. I mean, that would be a massive loss versus what we paid for him, wouldn't it? We paid 85 million euros, right? Let me just have a look at what that is in pounds. So yeah, we paid 72 million pounds for Jadon Sancho. 40 million pounds now. I think it's at the low end, to be honest, but I probably would take it. If we could get 40 million from Chelsea or from PSG or from Juventus or from whoever for Jadon, I think you probably have to take it, because the alternative is that he stays and then he barely plays, probably falls out of the manager again, and then this time next year he'll have 1 year left on his deal, and you can just tell from Jadon Sancho that he'd be the kind of person that if he has 1 year left on his contract, he's probably going to run down that contract, isn't he? He's not going to look to move then. So I honestly do feel that if Manchester United want to cash in on Jadon Sancho, now is the time. Yes, 40 million is not a lot, really, when we paid 72 for him, but he hasn't worked at Manchester United. You know, he hasn't been a success. I can't honestly remember. I'm not even joking. There's probably only been like 1 or 2 games where I've thought Jadon Sancho has been like really good. Whereas like if you think of like Bruno, Rashford, like all of these people who also get criticism, you know, you can think of loads of games where Bruno's like changed the game or Rashford's changed the game. Like I just don't see it with Jadon Sancho personally. Like I can't remember any. I'm sure there's someone will say a couple of games in the chat, but I just the point I'm making is I just don't think it's worked for Jadon at Man United, and I think, you know, if 40 million is the price that we can get, then that's how much we can get. And I know it's disappointing. I know people want more than that, but yeah, I don't really know what to say, to be honest. But how much do you think Jadon Sancho is actually worth? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Obviously, it looks like Chelsea are going to let Raheem Sterling go. Could Jadon Sancho be a like-for-like replacement for Raheem Sterling? Maybe. Yeah, so it looks like at the moment Chelsea, Juventus and PSG are the clubs who are kind of all circling for Jadon Sancho. Whether or not they'll end up signing him, that's a whole other conversation. But Laurie Whitwell from The Athletic is reporting that apparently Manchester United believe that Jadon Sancho to Chelsea is an open situation. So yeah, I don't know. We'll wait and see. If I was Manchester United, I would be, you know, trying to push Jadon Sancho out of the club, I think. Because as I said, if you keep him for 1 more year, I think it creates toxicity in the squad. I think it's going to create unrest in the squad. And I think then all you're doing is accepting that this time next year, he's just going to say, I'm not leaving. And then you let him go for free the year after. So although 40 million is obviously a loss on the 72 million pounds we paid, I feel like it's kind of a now or never situation with Jadon Sancho, you know, because I don't think his stock price is going to go up this season. He's barely going to play. He'll probably sit on the bench for most of the season. He'll probably then be upset. And the other thing as well, right, which I think is the final nail in the coffin for me, and some people might think this is not important, but I personally think it is. If you go on Jadon Sancho's Instagram account now, right, so Jadon Sancho posts on his stories. He's relatively active on Instagram. So on his Instagram, he's got no mention of Manchester United in his bio. His profile picture is him in a Dortmund shirt. And then every single picture on his Instagram, every one of them, is him in a Dortmund shirt. There's not a single picture, not one, of him wearing a Manchester United shirt. Literally, you scroll down his feed and every single picture of Jadon Sancho on his Instagram is him in Dortmund. And I think for me alone, that's just like, we want players at Manchester United who, you know, like Bruno, you know, or like Manuel Ugarte, who's doing everything he possibly can to push a move here. Whereas you've got Jadon Sancho, who clearly doesn't want to be here, clearly, and is someone that we could, you know, get money for. So yeah, that thing did rub me up the wrong way a little bit. I saw someone talking about it on Twitter. I saw someone saying, you know, go and look at his Instagram. He's active on Instagram and he's still, every single picture, his profile picture, everything is Dortmund. There's nothing Manchester United related. And Manchester United are paying him his wages. You know, even if he doesn't like Manchester United, you'd think that professionally he would be like, well, these are my employers. They're paying me £250,000 a week. And I'm showing that much disrespect. I mean, even from a brand's perspective, you know, if I was Manchester United, I'd be absolutely fuming. Imagine this, right? Imagine you work for a company, yeah? And then you go and work for another company for a year. And you both operate in the same industry. You're both, say, I don't know, mobile phone companies, right? So you work for O2, I work for EE. Or whatever. It could be a supermarket. It could be... And then you go and work for this other supermarket or mobile phone company for 1 year. And then when you come back to your old company, you have pictures. All of your pictures are just of you at the other company. I'd be fuming because I feel like that's a conflict of interest, you know? Why are you promoting Dortmund when you're a Manchester United player? They're not paying your wages anymore. They don't want to sign you. They don't want to pay any money for you. So why are you promoting them? And I don't know. I think stuff like that is just the final nail in the coffin for me, for Jadon Sancho. And I think, you know, if we could get 40 million for him, although that's a little bit low, I think we would have to take it because I think we just need him out of the club. We need to close this part of the book and just move on to the next thing. But Right, let's move on from that. You can let me know your thoughts on Sancho in the comment section below. And let's move on to Manuel Ugarte, because we have had a fresh update from Fabrizio. This dropped in the early hours of this morning. And Fabrizio is reporting that Manchester United are now working on a loan with an obligation to buy for Manuel Ugarte. He says the negotiations are continuing for this formula only, as Jorge Mendes is leading the talks with PSG. Ugarte wants Manchester United and is pushing a lot for the deal. If we could do a loan with an obligation to buy, I think that would be really, really clever business, to be honest, because that would then allow us to spend more money this window. Obviously, if we do a loan, we won't have to pay a transfer fee this summer, will we? We'll pay the transfer fee starting next year. And Fabrizio also goes on to say that Manchester United's offer to PSG is a loan for 12 months, and then this time next year, that loan becomes permanent. But they want to then separate the fee over 3 or 4 years. So we'll have him on loan for 12 months, and then next summer we'll pay, say we sign him for 50 million euros, next summer we'll pay 12.5 million, the summer after 12.5 million, and so on. So it's not even like Manchester United are saying, we'll loan him for 12 months and then give you all of the money next year. They're saying, we'll loan him for 12 months, and then onwards we will give you 12.5 million or whatever, you know? So yeah, I think that would be a great bit of business, because I still think we do need to sign probably another midfielder. I think we need another attacking player. I think we maybe even, I know this might sound a little bit crazy, but if we could get another centre-back, like we're one injury away from having Maguire and Johnny Evans starting again for us, you know? Or 2 injuries away. Lenny Yoro's out till October. De Ligt maybe isn't even fit yet. So what happens if Martinez gets injured? You know, it's going to be Maguire and Johnny Evans. No disrespect to those two. Maguire, I think, was the man of the match against Fulham for me, but I don't think you can go into the season thinking we're going to get anything better than, say, 5th or 6th if Maguire and Johnny Evans end up starting games for you, to be honest. I don't think Maguire and Martinez together as a pair is terrible, but Maguire and Johnny Evans is like... It's like going back 10 years, you know? They're old school defenders. They're not, you know, the modern, progressive defenders, Maguire and Johnny Evans. They're both slow. They're both a bit clunky on the ball. They're not very press resistant, you know? So yeah, I'm very, very happy though about the Manuel Ugarte loan deal. I think it makes a lot of sense. I think if we can get that one over the line this week, then going into next week, we go and try and sign another midfielder, maybe another attacking player. I think we'll be very, very well set up. Very well set up. Let's see what we got. Let's have a little sip of my tea. People are saying that no one wants to buy Sancho. Well, there seems to be a genuine interest in Sancho, so we'll wait and see what happens there. We've got over 1,400 people watching the show live now, which is amazing. Let's try and see 1,000 likes on this episode, guys. So everybody go and like it if you haven't already. Doesn't cost any money. Give the video the thumbs up and make sure you subscribe to the channel as well. Once we hit 40k subscribers, I'm going to be giving away 2 brand new Manchester United shirts. So go and subscribe right now. Get involved. It's completely free content. Everyone is welcome. Right. Let's move on to Scott McTominay then, because we have had a bit of clarity on what's happened with McTominay. And this might upset some people, but it's a news show, so I'm going to bring it to you anyway. So obviously we know that Fulham were interested in McTominay. So let me paint you a picture, right? About 5 o'clock yesterday, I thought, you know what? I'm going to go and have a bath. I'm going to go and relax. I'm going to switch off for a bit. I get in the bath. I come out of the bath. I look on my phone. And I see Sander Berge to Fulham. Here we go. I'm like, what the hell is going on here? You know? An hour before, everybody's saying that Fulham are going to offer £30 million. Sky Sports are reporting it. You know, everybody's reporting it. McTominay to Fulham for £30 million. And I'm thinking, great, I'm going to go and relax now. I'm going to go and have a little bit of chill time. I come out of the bath and Sander Berge is now a here we go to Fulham. And I'm like, how has this happened? What's going on? Did they ever even want McTominay? But apparently the situation is this. Apparently McTominay didn't want to move to Fulham. That's what's been reported. Apparently Manchester United, Eric Ten Hag, Ineos, had a conversation with McTominay. And they said to him, we're not going to make you leave. If you want to leave, Fulham have offered this amount of money. Would you like to join Fulham? And he effectively said, no, I don't want to join Fulham. So that's what's happened here. And that's why they just went for Sander Berge suddenly. The deal was effectively done transfer fee wise between Manchester United and Fulham. You know, that the package was agreed, but Manchester United weren't willing to push McTominay to leave. They said, it's up to you. Would you like to leave? Fulham want to buy you, and McTominay apparently said no. So a little bit frustrating. I personally would have probably given McTominay the boot, but I get it. He's come through the youth academy. Like, we should be probably more respectful towards our youth players. You know, you think about how Chelsea treat Conor Gallagher, like how they treated Mason Mount, how they're treating like Trevor Chalobah. That's not how Manchester United want to be run, I don't think, personally. And I know some people will say, like, we've got to be ruthless, we've got to be this, we've got to be that. I get it. But I think there's a fine line. I think, you know, Manchester United telling McTominay that he's surplus to requirements and that he's going to be on the bench was the correct thing to do. And then it was up to McTominay to make his decision, because I don't think it is a good look, really, to be forcing out your youth players. And especially when I want McTominay to leave, don't get me wrong, but when McTominay was your second highest goal scorer last season, right? Can you really be like, get out, force him out? Maybe not. And I think that Erik ten Hag probably does value McTominay because of, like I said, off the bench, McTominay is a very valuable asset to have. If you need to get a goal in the last few minutes of a game, send him up front. He's strong, he's tall, he's physical, he causes trouble in and around the box. But for the rest of the 90 minutes, I honestly think that you're playing with 10 men, genuinely. And that's not me being harsh, that's just my opinion. You might disagree. I just think that when you put McTominay in a defensive midfield position or as a central midfielder, like, it just doesn't work for me. And if you actually look at the positions that he played last season, right? I've got the stats up here. So he scored 6 goals and got 2 assists when he was playing as an attacking midfielder. When he was playing as a defensive midfielder, he got 1 assist in 17 games, no goals. Do you see what I'm saying here? So McTominay further up the pitch, for me personally, is a really, really valuable player to have. But it's just whether Manchester United can afford to not sell him and still do the transfer business they need to do. Now, just to be very, very clear, apparently Napoli still want to sign McTominay. So that looks like it probably will happen further on into the window. But yeah, we'll wait and see how this all progresses. I know some people are like probably raging. Why do they not kick him out? Why do they not throw him out? All the rest of it. But I don't want to be like a Chelsea. I don't want to be a club that disrespects our youth players, you know? If it's someone who's never played any minutes, I get it. You know, if it's like Hannibal Mejbri, then like get rid of him. He's barely played any football. He's clearly not good enough. If it's someone like Will Fish, you know, like I've got no feelings or emotions towards these people because they've not really been part of our team. Whereas McTominay, whether he's good or not, is up for debate. But he's been here. He's played over 200 games for Manchester United. He's come through the youth academy. He's never complained. He works hard. So, yeah, I understand why Manchester United had the way they did. Thank you to Ellen, who's just done a super chat. Ellen says, just a little support. Like the video, guys. Thank you very much for your support, Ellen. I really, really do appreciate it. Just a quick one as well. Fabrizio has just confirmed as well in the last couple of minutes. Facundo Pellistri to Panathinaikos is a here we go. 6 million euros. It says that it will be a permanent deal with a sell-on clause for Manchester United. Pellistri will sign a long-term contract. Blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, Pellistri to Panathinaikos is a here we go. I don't know how to feel about this. I'm a little bit disappointed, but I do understand it at the same time. And I think as well that the fact that I missed out a really important point earlier on in the video. Apparently, there's going to be a 50% sell-on clause in this Pellistri deal. So if he goes to Panathinaikos and does well, then Manchester United will effectively get 50% of the transfer fee in the future. But yeah, I still do feel like 6 million is a little bit of a joke, to be honest. But I don't know. It is what it is, isn't it? And as I said to you, right, it's easy for us to sit here and say, oh, he's worth 20, he's worth 30, he's better than Anthony, he's better than whatever. Like, that's fine. But the fact of the matter is, Pellistri is on the market, he's available to buy, and the highest offer we've had was 6 million. So you can only sell when you have an offer. You know, it's all good and well me sat here saying, oh, I want 20 million for Pellistri. But if no one wants to buy Pellistri for 20 million, then you're not going to get 20 million, are you? And I know that seems a little bit obvious, but like, yeah, we can't really be that angry about it, I don't think, personally. But yeah, so Pellistri is a here we go, done deal, joining Panathinaikos. So I wish him all the best. Somebody says, how much did we buy Pellistri for? I think it was 8 million euros, I think. But that was years and years and years ago. So we'll have paid off that transfer fee by now. Not that that makes it all right. Yeah, we paid 8.5 million euros for him 4 seasons ago. So we're making a 2.5 million euros loss. But he has only got 1 year left on his contract. He wants to leave. So, yeah, I wish him all the best. I hope he goes there. I hope he does well. Yeah. We'll wait and see, though. We'll wait and see how he goes. And as I said, right, we've just got to hold on to the fact that if he goes there and does well, Manchester United will get 50% of the transfer fee. So, yeah, that's that. Right, let's see what else I've got planned for you for the show this morning. Right, so we talked about McTominay. We've talked about Manuel Ugarte. I think we've covered everything. Yeah, we have. Right, I'm going to wrap the video up here then. I'll be back at 1:30 and then I will also be back at 6. Please make sure to smash a like on the video before you leave. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. This has been Daily Red Devil. Have a lovely afternoon, everybody, and I will speak to you all later. Bye for now.